Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I want to tell you just a little bit about my journey, my story, and how ice wellness came to be. So I've been doing ice baths for 3 to 4 years now, and I started doing ice therapy because I have severe nerve damage in one of my legs, where my skin is numb to the touch and feels nothing, but my muscle feels everything. And so I was constantly in pain. I don't like taking painkillers. I don't like smoking or gummies or anything like that. And so for me, pain management was basically just deal with it. I am immune to most over the counter painkillers and I refuse to try opioids. So I basically just lived in a chronic state of pain and just figured out how to circumvent it day by day. I started doing ice baths to see if it was going to help with the nerve damage, as well as see if maybe I could get my hormones under control a little bit because I tend to be a very stressed out person. I tend to carry that stress in my shoulders and in my stomach. And so, of course, my cortisol levels were through the roof. So, I started doing the ice baths from that perspective, and I have never looked back since. I have a lot of days where I don't even feel that the nerves are damaged. Now, when one of my dogs rubs against my leg, I can actually stand it. Before, it would have made me hit the ground. It would have absolutely crippled me for a little bit, just because of the pain associated with what was going on. So, I've had a lot of really good days now with doing the ice baths. The other thing that I started to realize was that my stress resistance had gone up, and so what used to be difficult situations were no longer difficult. I learned how to breathe through them a lot more, which made it a lot easier to deal with. And so I was able to take what I was learning in the ice bath subconsciously and apply it to my day to day life. That's when I started to realize all the mental benefits of cold therapy. And this really came to light one day when I got in the ice bath and was like, I don't feel like doing this. I'm going to do this for 2 minutes and call it good. I started really thinking about everything that was going on in my life and really processing it and how everything was going to work. And next thing I knew, I'd done an 8.5 minute ice bath that I went ahead and did to 10 minutes as well. And so the mental aspect of it is super, super important because so often, and I hear this all the time, I can't do it. I don't like the cold. I don't like the cold either. I live in the desert by choice. Like, I do not enjoy being cold. But what I do enjoy is being free of pain and being able to handle high stress situations without getting overwhelmed. So once I realized all this, I started really playing with it and testing it because I love testing things. Like, I do it with health, I do it with food, I do it with supplements, and now I'm doing it with the ice bath. And so I did a 30-day challenge of doing the ice bath every morning, first thing when I got up. And I did it in December specifically so that I would force myself to be cold already and get in the cold versus summer in the desert where I live. It's easy to jump in the cold water when it's 110 degrees outside, not so much when it's 40 degrees outside. So I did that challenge and I expected to have a lot of energy. I expected it to be fantastic. And what I found was that in a couple of hours, I was absolutely exhausted. I had no energy whatsoever. And I ended up having to do a second ice bath anyway to get my energy levels back up. And I probably increased my caffeine content by double, which I already drink a lot of caffeine. So it was a lot. So I was very happy when that challenge was over. Next, I did 30 days doing it at night right before bed. That one was not as bad. It was still cold, obviously, when I did it, but it wasn't as cold because it was January. But what I found was it disrupted my sleep terribly. I would either get too deep asleep and dream really weird dreams, or I would get too deep asleep and not wake up to my alarm, or it would just take me a really long time to fall asleep. So it broke the myth for me of doing a cold bath right before bed to help you sleep. What I found with all of this was that timing of your ice bath is actually more important than I ever thought. Before, I was just doing it whenever I felt like doing it. So after those two challenges, I started really paying attention to what my body was feeling, how I was feeling, not just that day, but the day after, a couple of hours after, tracking whether or not I had eaten, because it does change the sensations when you're in the ice bath if you've just eaten versus if you're fasted. And I started tracking all of this. And the data I found was really interesting. And so I found the ideal time for me, which now has changed because my schedule has changed. And I figured out how to do an ice bath in the morning without getting that energy deficiency later in the day. But it all came down to what I was doing before the ice bath. And really, it came down to figuring out the exact timing And even the temperature variations had massive effects, both inside the tub and the temperature variations outside. It even differs if I'm plunging outside in my personal unit or inside in a studio. As a data nerd, this all fascinated me. And I realized that no one was really talking about it. And if no one was talking about it and I was just discovering it because of the pain points I had, how many people, rather than experimenting, just stopped because of those pain points? Because no one was there to tell them, like, you don't have to do it first thing in the morning. Or if this is happening when you're doing it first thing in the morning, maybe try this. And so Ice Wellness kind of came about through that. We started the journal because it's super important for people to track how it's affecting you that day, how it's affecting you the day after. Um, again, discovering if eating before or after is better for you, discovering if you're dehydrated and maybe that's why your ice bath is really, really sucking. Maybe you were just in a really bad mood that day. And so everything was terrible. These are all things that are really important, and our journal helps you track that. We took it to the next step into the subscription because I got really tired of people saying, well, I respect you, but I could never do that. Again, because I hate the cold too. And I get that mentality, but we can break it, right? It's mind over matter all the time. Your mindset is so important. And so our 30-day challenges, our subscription service is designed to help get you out of your brain in a negative way and get you into your brain and your body in a positive way. And what I mean by that is letting go of those limiting beliefs, letting go of that stress, and really, really focusing in on how the ice is affecting you and how it's helping you. I've actually had multiple instances now where people have reached out to us and said, I hated this mantra because it made me deal with my demons, or I really like this mantra even though I feel like it's really calling me out, but this is exactly what I needed to hear. And so we know the mantras are good. We also know that they can be a point of contention if it's forcing you to deal with stuff. But that's the beauty of ice therapy is it helps you emotionally, mentally, and physically deal with the things you might not want to deal with, but doing it in a way that is going to be beneficial. It's okay to scream when you get in the ice bath. That is trauma leaving your body. It is okay to cry in the ice bath. That is trauma leaving your body. It's okay to be quiet in the ice bath. You've probably already dealt with your trauma at that point. There's so many different ways that people can do cold therapy. There's not really a right way, but there is a wrong way. And what I mean by that is if you are doing it the way your friend is doing it, who has different goals, different desires, different demons, then you're probably not going to get the full experience out of it because you're trying to copy their way of doing it and ignoring what's best for you. It's the same as if your circadian rhythm was the opposite of your best friend, but you were trying to be on their same sleep schedule. It just wouldn't work. If you're trying to lose weight and your friend's trying to build muscle and you're eating the same diet and working out the same way, it's probably not going to work the way you're imagining it's going to work, right? Because everyone's goals are different. Everyone's healing journey is different. And that's what is really, really important when it comes to cold therapy as well. Define your goals, which then can define your water temperature and duration, at least to start with, and then start tracking. It's really that simple. And that's why our program is designed to be useful for anybody, whether you're doing it in a natural lake, in an ice pod, in a cold shower, wherever you practice. We bring the mantras, the coaching, the workouts to you. And then our journal, of course, allows you to track it and make sure that you are indeed finding the right time, temperature, and duration for you.